What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be talking about the sixth and hopefully final installment in the Sony Spider-Man universe, their villain universe, or their Sony universe of Spider-Man characters, whatever the hell you want to call it, because they've called it so many different things. We're talking about Kraven the Hunter, starring Aaron Taylor Johnson, Russell Crowe, other people that I don't know. Kraven Kravinoff's complex relationship with his ruthless gangster father, Nikolai, sets him down a path of vengeance with brutal consequences, motivating him to become not only the greatest hunter in the world, but also one of its most feared. If you're a fan of these Sony Spider-Man villain movies that don't have Spider-Man in them, and you're really looking forward to Kraven the Hunter, let me say this. Just go see it. For the rest of us, look, I went into Kraven the Hunter at least hoping. I didn't think it was going to be that great, but I was like, just give me some fun vibes. If that can at least happen, I might walk out, not dumping on the whole thing, but unfortunately, I do have to dump on Kraven the Hunter. This is a very bad movie. While it is marginally better than some of the other Sony Spider-Man villain movies like Madam Web and Morbius, it still suffers from a lot of terrible filmmaking. There is so much ADR in this movie that I just couldn't believe my eyes when I was hearing how much ADR there was in this movie. You can see so many characters talking. You can hear the voices of characters, but they're in frame. They're always at a distance because they know that it's poorly edited, and you can hear them talking, but their lips aren't moving or their backs will be turned to you and they're talking, and you know that it's ADR because you know that they're not saying anything in that moment. They're not being filmed saying anything, so you know that they're just voice recording everything. Or there will be moments where they'll be in frame, like up close, their lips won't even move. It feels like such a rookie mistake to have errors like that in a movie, especially in a decently budgeted movie like this where it still feels like Sony is trying to get this universe up off the ground because it's been nothing but miss after miss after miss, which leads me to believe that the ADR sprinkled throughout this movie has got to be the funniest thing about it. There are moments where this movie is an unintentional comedy, and that mostly comes from the ADR, the third act fight, and the guy who plays Rhino, because Rhino is a complete joke in this movie and it's hilarious. The one of the most hilarious things about this movie is all the animal puns that Rhino makes. With the ADR, there's so much dialogue thrown into scenes that shouldn't be there, and that's a direct case of the movie having a lot of ADR. And speaking of the dialogue, it's the most boring, bland dialogue you've ever heard. Like, you'll just be watching a scene and people will just be blurting out words. It's not really dialogue, it's just words. And they'll throw a bunch of creative adjectives in there to make the dialogue sound a lot smarter than it actually is, when in reality, it sounds a lot dumber than it actually is. It's just trying to sound smart and big to try and get you to be like, oh yeah, this is actually smart, but it's really just dialogue that is in one ear, out the other. It's dialogue that you tune out as a viewer, where they're saying something important. It's that expositionist dialogue where they're saying so many important things, but it's like you don't retain it because what they're saying actually doesn't make all that much sense, even with added adjectives thrown into this dialogue. They try to make the dialogue sound clever, but the dialogue itself just ends up sounding really poor. Aside from our leads, who are for the most part actually somewhat trying, every supporting actor or actress that isn't well known delivers their lines like an AI bot. Unfortunately, this is also the case with Ariana DeBose. She was nominated for an Oscar. I'm pretty sure she won for West Side Story. Correct me if I'm wrong. But even her line delivery sometimes sounds like it's Siri from an iPhone. That's at least how it sounded to me. I don't know if it's going to sound like that to anybody else, but that's how it came across to me. And I felt like I was just watching people being very robotic and how they moved, how they talked. And the editing for this movie is really confusing for me. Was it shot to be rated R? Was it shot to be PG-13? I have no idea because this is the first Sony universe movie to be rated R, but there's nothing all that brutal or bloody about it, honestly. Like, did they just add a bunch of blood spurts in post? Like, there's a couple of moments where it's like, oh, he just killed that guy, blood spurt, but it's PG-13 blood spurts, if you ask me. There's a moment where a guy gets like chopped in half. Okay, so that's rated R. But even then, when it feels like it's going for a more brutal kill or a more gory kill, the camera cuts away really quick, which makes me believe that this was rated PG-13 and edited to be an R and added and add in digital blood spurts in post production to make that R rating. So I really don't know what happened with this movie. I was hoping for some fun, and I really didn't get that. When the only thing that I like about the movie is numerous animal puns, that's kind of a bad thing. I knew this wasn't going to be a good movie, but it was honestly worse than I thought it was going to be. And from all intents and purposes, it sounds like Sony's not continuing this universe, and thank thank God they finally put the nail in the coffin. They finally threw in the white towel. They were like, all right, I guess it's not working. It only took them long enough, though. Kraven the Hunter, for me, stale popcorn. Yeah, one of the worst movies of the year, unfortunately. So if you guys have seen Kraven the Hunter, let me know what you think of it in the comment section below. I will leave my link to my website in the description below as well. You guys are the best. Thank you for watching. My name is Alex Madden, and I will see you at the movies somewhere.